I will call to order the Personnel Policy Curriculum Committee meeting, which was duly noticed on October 31st, 2025, through posting and notification of the press in accordance with Wisconsin 19.84. Notice is hereby given that school board members who are not members of this committee may attend this meeting so as to constitute a quorum of the Board of Education. Any such board member attendance will be for our information gathering only and will not result in direct decision-making by the Board of Education at the committee meeting. I think I did that in one breath. Did you like that? I have a safety message. Let me pull that up. Oh, shoot. I think I lost it in my email, but I'm going to quick grab it for you. Thought I was going to be all prepared. November safety tips. These, I have just a few to kind of go over. I went safety tips that related to daylight saving, and I thought that would be appropriate whether or not, they just kind of align with this time of year. Check alarms, replace batteries, and test your, are you listening? I know, that's why I'm saying this. Test your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors when you change your clocks. Prepare an emergency kit, create a winter car kit with essentials like blanket, flashlight, batteries, non-perishable snacks, and first aid kit. Inspect fire extinguishers, check that your fire extinguishers are in good working order and have a valid recharge date. Just a few driving safety tips. Drive with caution. Be aware that morning and evening commutes will now be in darker conditions and other drivers will be adjusting. So drive defensively, avoid distractions, keep your phone put away, and avoid eating or drinking while driving. Turn the radio down to stay alert. Well, sometimes having my radio up keeps me alert to be visible. Wear brighter reflective clothing and use lights when walking or cycling, especially during darker hours, and give others space. Increase your following distance, provide more time to brake, and be especially aware of pedestrians and cyclists on the road. And then also just be aware of your body clock. Gradually shift sleep a few days before the time change. We're going to skip that because we're after the time change now. Limit pre-sleep disruption. Avoid heavy meals, caffeine, screen time in the 1 to 2 hours before bed, as blue light from screens can disrupt sleep. I'm sure that is not easy for all of us to do. Stay active. Get some daylight, ideally sunlight earlier in the day. Gentle exercises earlier in the day can also help, but avoid intense workouts close to bedtime. All right, let's move on. I need a motion to adopt the November 3rd, 2025 agenda as presented.
So moved. Second,
Thanks. All in favor? Aye. That motion passes. We have Commissioner Lisa Herder not present. Moving on to 1.4, I have a little note to share. This is Bright Spots. This is like a bright spot information I'm sharing, and it is more than just that. The Forward Foundation Bright Spots grant provides school leaders with resources to encourage, recognize, and promote practices that drive strategic goals in the classroom level. This funding covers travel costs and substitute teachers, allowing educators to study, observe, and implement best practices from other schools and districts. First of all, I wanted to let you know this was a note from Dr. Allison DeGraff, who is unable to join us because she's doing something really special today, and it relates to this message that I'm sharing. Wilson Elementary is a grant recipient this year, which is super exciting. Principal Ashley Wright identified East Garfield Elementary in Steubenville, Ohio as a school with similar demographics to Wilson that exceeds state expectations in reading and attendance. Both communities have faced significant economic challenges. Janesville experienced the closure of General Motors assembly plant in 2008, while Steubenville suffered job losses following the closure of the Weirton steel plant in the late 1990s. Ashley's research confirmed East Garfield's success in accelerating achievement among a similar student population. Ashley and a team of 3 teachers, an academic learning coach, and Dr. Allison DeGraff are currently in Steubenville, Ohio, on site at the school today, observing in classrooms and meeting with staff. Currently, Wilson Elementary has a reading proficiency rate of 29%. In addition to academic growth, Wilson is dedicated to addressing significant non-academic barriers their students face, including the district's highest population of students experiencing homelessness and the highest rate of chronic absenteeism at 33%. The school aims to implement innovative data-driven strategies to enhance family engagement and reduce chronic absenteeism, recognizing their direct correlation with academic success. East Garfield Elementary in Steubenville, Ohio demonstrates exceptional success despite a 100% poverty rate. Wow. And 62% of its students being students of color, yet 82% of its students are at grade level for reading. Wilson has a 96% poverty rate and 67% students of color. East Garfield also has very low chronic absenteeism, significantly below the state average of 24%, and high parent engagement. The site visit will involve meetings with building leaders and classroom observations to identify the curriculum resources, structures, and organizational systems that support high growth and achievement. Wilson Elementary School will share its findings from the site visit with the Forward Foundation and its staff. They also create action steps based on their observations, including professional development, identifying key instructional practices, and structuring systems to foster strong academic and attendance growth. This is a note to me. It feels funny to read it. Thank you to Commissioner Paul for sharing a research article on Steubenville, Ohio, to begin further exploring research and information on the school. So this is absolutely amazing, I think really exciting, and is a great highlight of the work that our district is doing and also the work that our committee oversees. I can't even remember when I sent this article to Dr. DeGraff, and I really appreciate the great relationship that she and I have, that when I get excited about something and reading and I say, have you seen this? And she is super receptive and looking into some of the strange things maybe that I might send her way. But this is awesome, and I am so excited to hear back from the team from School District of Janesville. Dr. DeGraff shared that when they reached out, that Steubenville the school district has a really elaborate, there's an application process. Not just anyone can show up to their school. So they are receiving a lot of school districts interested in the work that they're doing, and I'm really proud of our staff for going there. And I also really want to thank the Forward Foundation for the support that they've given to us and the staff at Wilson Elementary, because I think that shows really strong and amazing community partnerships. So we'll, I'm sure, hear more about that in the coming weeks. Moving on, presentation of course book updates. Chris Menwalt.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. I'm going to go through some new course offerings, very few new course offerings, actually. I'll go through a little bit of the process and a few of the things that we're looking for. So that did not do what I wanted it to do. Look at that. I'll try it again. Oh, there we go. All right. This is just the timeline of how we go about new course offerings. It really does start typically actually even before February if teachers have some ideas of some courses they would like to offer. They do have to go through a process. They do have to talk to other colleagues. We do have to talk across town of, like, do we both agree this is a necessary offering? Goes through leadership, eventually comes to the district level. Where we decide whether or not, yep, that makes sense, and here's what we're going to do. One of the things we've started doing in about the last 3 years is we don't offer new courses without examining should we remove a course. We have two comprehensive high schools, but we offer more courses than we can actually schedule. So we need to be really careful about that, because it is a bit misleading of, like, I could take this, this, and this. Like, it's actually not possible for us to schedule all the courses we offer. And so I'll talk a little bit about some of the work we're going to do with that. But we get to November, and you are hearing our new course offerings. That will eventually move on to the board and to our managers to get into the course guide, which seems weird to say for 26-27, even though we're not to 26 yet. A couple things going on that influence course offerings. We are in the middle of a math audit with CESA 6. We just received a draft of the audit and met on that, provided some feedback back to CESA 6, and we'll have a few presentations coming up to our leadership team on that. That will help us decide a little bit on offerings, particularly post-geometry at the high school. There'll be plenty of other things, but how it relates to course offerings, that's where that would relate is what is the pathway past geometry. We're also in the middle of a CTE audit. That's not completed, of no preliminary information, but one of the things that we'll do with that is reach out to local stakeholders and partners and look at what our offerings are in CTE and what our equipment is in CTE. That will also influence if the board should decide to go to a future CTE audit, what that might look like and what that would be. But for us, it really is what courses in career and technical education works. Probably not as much in business, although there'll be a little bit of business, and you'll see that here, but really in some of the other areas, everything from autos to metals to woods to obviously probably won't change a lot of things with ag with our new greenhouses. And the last thing is, while we're not doing an audit for science, we will review our science curriculum. Science is tough because it encompasses so much of where to be, and just trying to be deliberate about making sure we're not creating barriers and saying, well, you have to take this class before you can take this class, before you can take this class, eventually really creating a system where a kid can't get to a class because we just thought it was important that they have this. Well, they can't really do it in 3 years or 4 years. So we just want to look at that. That won't be ready to influence the 26-27 course guide, but it will influence the 27-28 course guide. So new courses, very few. A few of you have been on PPC for a while, and this is the fewest we've brought. The committee that met on this, I said, boy, this was a short meeting, and everybody said, this is great. We should do it this way more often. And part of it is we've been really intentional about going through the process. In the past, maybe some people kind of skipped through some things, and we really haven't allowed that. So going through. So the first one is emergency medical technician. This course will be taught at Mercy at their facility. So if you're not familiar, but Mercy in, I guess in the basement downstairs, it has a teaching facility. So Chris Madke and I toured that a few months ago, talked about emergency medical technician. Students, when they graduate from that program, will literally be able to get a job as an EMT as long as they're 18 years old. There'll be a few things. We think that's going to be highly successful. We've created some flyers for students already. So we'll definitely be offering that. AP Cybersecurity, that will allow us to remove game design 1 and 2. AP Cybersecurity, the reason we went with AP is because we know that there'll be a high level of rigor. We also know that there'll be consistency. We also know that there'll be recognition nationwide of kids to take that instead of us trying to come up with our own curriculum for that. So we're excited about offering that. And then the last one is AP Business and Marketing. And again, this is, AP Business and Marketing is brand new. That is the, I believe, second year that AP College Board, has offered AP Business and Marketing. And it's one of the things, again, we want to try, partly because when you attach AP to it, right, you're getting the international and certainly U.S. recognition of what the curriculum is and what the rigor is without having to build your own curriculum. You're following what they ask you to do. So those are what we plan to offer. I don't even think I have another slide in there. So I should even put questions, but certainly I will answer questions if you have any questions. But those are the three we're going to shoot for.
This is great. The EMT class, how long is this, a whole year?
It will be a semester.
Oh, a semester.
It'll be a semester. And one of the things that's great about what we're going to do with EMT and offering it down there is we will either offer it, it'll depend a little bit on their schedule, beginning of the day, right after lunch, probably one of those two, right? Because it will be they'll have to block it for a couple hours. So it will be blocked down there. We're really excited. They're super excited to have us involved in this. I really, really hope we're going to work really hard to make sure that we can fill that course up. They're saying that we could have maybe upwards of 30 kids even involved, so that would be awesome.
And then just two more. So both schools will have all three of these?
Yep.
Both high schools? And then do we have staffing for the AP level rigor courses?
Yep. So the one nice thing about having AP involved is really it requires some summer training. So we will make sure that our staff goes to summer training. They'll be able to work with other, because all AP courses are piloted, they'll always be able to get information from those who have already taught the course and be able to learn that way.
just a few questions. So will there be prereqs for the cybersecurity and the business marketing classes?
Cybersecurity, likely not. Business and marketing, maybe marketing one, but that might be it. The curriculum in AP Business Marketing is a little bit different than our marketing, which is why we're not removing any marketing classes. So marketing one may be what we offer, but it certainly wouldn't be marketing two. Like if you have the vocabulary for marketing one, we think you'll be successful.
Okay. And how about the EMT classes?
EMT, actually the biggest prerequisite is going to be age, because they have to turn, I don't know what, I don't have it in front of me, 17 something in so many months before they can test. So we'll have to look at that backwards. I do not think actually that there's a requirement because of the age. We're going to assume that they've had enough math and science classes to be okay. I do not think there's a
But it
prerequisite
won't be
attached to that.
anatomy or biology, won't
I
be
don't
one of the
think so.
requirements.
I don't think so.
And then I have one other question, but it's back to the science review.
Yep.
And this is a personal thing. I was looking for something in the course book. Do we no longer teach TC chemistry?
We do not, because they changed TC chemistry and what it was, and our staff felt that the curriculum of TC chemistry went into basically to a third-year chemistry course, and we didn't think our kids
We
should
weren't there.
go.
Okay.
We didn't think we should be offering that to. I mean, kids can take a chemistry at Whitewater or wherever and do those things if they're interested yet through other means. We just didn't think it was in the best interest for our kids to be. We thought a number of our kids would likely fail that course.
Okay. I was just curious when I was
Yep.
looking for it to see.
Yep.
Thank you.
In the game design courses, were they just not filling? Was that the rationale?
We weren't happy with when they were originally designed and what game design would be now. We don't feel we really kept up with the rigor in that,
Okay.
and we felt like there is much more employability and need in the cybersecurity than there is in game design.
That's super valuable. I was assuming that's probably where we were going. I'm really excited to see the additional AP courses added, having now graduated a student and having a college student who is recognizing the college credits that she came into the university with. So my daughter's getting ready to register for her second semester courses, and now these classes are on her. She's getting earlier.
Yep.
She was telling me, just as a side note, a friend of hers from an area school district not far from here, but she has like a couple weeks ahead of scheduling over her friend that she gets because of these extra courses that from AP and TC credits. And so I just think she's seeing the benefit of that now, and this is great to see more of that in our repertoire. So thank you for this work.
Absolutely.
Excited to see it pan out for our kids. I guess we're moving on. Okay, everyone. Presentation of athletic updates and fall report. Mr. Jim McClowery, welcome.
Yes. I've been without the mic the whole time. Do I have to redo the whole thing? No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, so we're bringing this thing home here. All right. So these are some big wins for us here. Again, part of our strategic plan. We as the athletic director team, we have been able to collaborate with all the departments here on a regular basis. And again, just helping us to build cohesiveness through the district. So we've met with every department on a regular basis here, and it's just helped us to strategically plan next steps for us. So big win. That's not something we were able to do prior. Another thing is staff development, growth, and retention. Just like we try to do it in the classroom with our best teachers, how do we do the same thing on the coaching front? We still are a school district, like many around us, that about 15 to 20% of coaches turn over every year. And if you go back to that number, about 260 coaches, if you get 25% of that turning over, that's a lot of people to retrain and invest in through retraining. So we've been spending a lot of time on that. Our student leadership team, I had mentioned that. We are data-driven decision makers in strategic planning. So everything that we do and bring forward as part of our strategic plan is based on what's happening in our state, what's happening in our region, what's happening in our conference, how does it impact kids. So there's a rationale for everything that we do. Every decision that we make now really has an opportunity to be well thought out, again, because of the systems that we're doing. Again, before we had Ben and Clayton in the roles, there really wasn't a lot of opportunity for them to wrap their heads around all these other pieces. Again, really appreciate that they're getting involved at the state level. It absolutely will make a difference here in Janesville. And then reimagining our club and activity processes. Our focus lately has been on all of our processes for clubs and sports, but particularly clubs. How do we create pathways and procedures that make sense for our advisors to follow? And then systemic planning with the middle school ADs and youth organization. I asked this to our middle school athletic directors, what's been the biggest change with Ben and Clayton in these roles? And this is what they said. We have more time we have time and intention now to plan with them, think with them, and the interaction between these 5 athletic directors has made a huge difference for our coaches and absolutely has made a huge difference for our kids. I should say all 6 athletic directors, right? But so that's been the biggest thing from their perspective about this. So, okay, just a couple things and then I think I'm done here. So trends that impact education-based athletics. So how do we spend our time? And again, not everybody understands and sees this work, but this is what we do. This is what we deal with on a daily basis. This challenges our capacity. So our decreasing teacher-coach model, absolutely that challenges us because we value our staff. We have to pour a lot into them intentionally. Evaluation, growth, retention, succession planning. So it takes a lot of our time and energy regularly. Good coach succession planning, I mentioned that. Student and families in crisis. So we dig into our data about our students who are in tough home situations, students who are experiencing homelessness. And so we are interested in all these intricacies and how we can best reach those kids and get them plugged into something at school. So we do interact regularly with that. As we have aggressive parents and fan behaviors, again, that is not a problem that's local just to Janesville, but it's something that we all share across the Big 8 conference in our state. Our Wisconsin Athletic, our WIAA Association just started a new initiative this winter, really dealing with the sportsmanship of fans, and they're asking school districts to partner with them on how we report this data and how we work to circumvent and re-educate people. Even to the point where if someone gets kicked out of a game as a spectator, in order for them to come back in, they need to take an online course, a sportsmanship course, before they can re-enter. So if you can just imagine how to navigate all the stressful parts of those types of conversations. But again, those are things we spend time on. And then one of our challenges too is sports specialization, people believing that it makes sense to choose one sport and stick with that sport. We obviously like kids to play as many sports as possible, but sports specialization has been a bit of an issue that we've been dealing with. Competitive balance is a big one as well, from school to school, conference to conference. And then shortage of officials is another one that we deal with. And again, just the trend right now is we have an opportunity across our state where folks open enroll in and out of school districts. And I know we had a board report about some of that information the other night, but we are in an era where sometimes people shop their students to a school because they have a program, don't have a program. And that's where I was just going to say transfer portal, but that's where transferring from schools is become an issue. So these right here, we didn't necessarily sign up for these things. We want to talk about our kids and our participation and our coaches, but these are absolutely things that on a regular basis challenge and stretch us here to be creative and be empathetic communicators. So, okay, I think I'm done. Thank you. That was a lot of information, but thank you for the opportunity. Questions?
Thank you for this. This is good, because like you said, a lot of it goes unseen, and so it's very appreciated.
Thank you.
I love the SALT program. That's kind of cool, because it gives some leadership experience for the kids. And then I know Ben's been wanting to do the youth organization partnerships for years, and so I'm glad that's coming together.
Yeah.
So I do have a few concerns I think you just need to be prepared for as you're entering year 3, the ADs are in year 2. You gotta get ready to speak to the activities assessment. So we've been hearing it's coming for years. What clubs are at Craig, which ones are at Parker? How do we align? Do we need them all? Do we need different ones? So I think you gotta prepare to get to that. And I don't think it's done yet, at least I haven't seen anything, I could be wrong. Facilities planning, so what's our improvement plan for that? I know it's, FBG committee, but, I think participation in the budgeting, and I see budgeting and fundraising is one of the LTIs. So the fundraising plan, kind of start to get to work on that, because you guys have done a lot of good work on team development and like getting a strategy together, and I agree, I love that Ben and them are engaged with the kids on site. Just an idea, maybe it's already in your engagement plan, but like a spotlight on successful student/athlete, like how, because we've grown the numbers so well, which is fantastic, but like how did that help them with their grades and their overall attendance and that kind of thing? Maybe just some spotlights to market it to other kids, just an idea, and in the school, on Facebook, because I always say, like, if we don't tell the Gazette what to say, they're gonna tell a story for us. The last thing I have is college prep. Can you please, I had to do Easton's college prep on my own. Like, our ADs, coaches weren't fluent in, and I had to do all my own research. I think that'd be really beneficial if our coaches, if they have an opportunity to learn, how do I get my athlete seen by this coach, or how do I help them do a sports resume, that kind of thing. I don't think that's been done yet either, and I could be wrong. So if it is, great, but otherwise, that was just the gap I saw when Easton went through a couple years ago, but thank you. I mean, this
Okay,
is really
appreciate
good
it.
stuff. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
I just have a couple quick questions. First of all, on the decrease of the teacher coach model, that's a national trend? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
not just.
we're not special in that regard at all.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was something I wanted to just clarify. And then, the other question is, as we're training these new coaches and things, we are using I'm blanking on the name of the new communications piece that we are using, talking points. I had talking something, ? Talking points, so they're understanding that they're only using talking points with their
Yeah,
people
yes.
as well. That's, to be clear, okay. Just one of those things, if they're not in the school and they don't understand what why we would have to use that, that's just something I wanted to be clear on, so, okay, thank you.
This is so great. I loved what Michelle was saying about the college stuff. Boy, it was cool to hear School District of Janesville shout out on an NFL game. I mean, national coverage. That was so cool. Janesville, Craig. That was awesome. It'd be cool. Like, I think that's a great point that she
We should
shares.
do more of that, absolutely.
That would be
We need to get
wonderful.
more.
And great idea for the student athlete shout outs too, because we know what those kids are juggling. I mean, especially Julie and I and the rest of us who've been a parent to a student athlete. It's a lot. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. I love these reports. It's so exciting to see the work that all of these individuals in you're leading. I love all of this stuff. I was thinking about the aggressive parent fan behavior because I've seen it. I'm not going to say where, but I've seen it. And one of my children plays soccer, and one thing that I appreciate on the soccer fields in the sports complex, you walk up and they say, these are kids and the coaches are volunteers, and I wonder if some signage like that in our gymnasiums or at the facilities might be, they're not going to necessarily stop everyone, but it is an extra reminder. I feel like at football games, I've heard announcements. I don't know that at basketball games, I've heard anything about unsportsmanlike conduct from
Yeah,
fans.
actually, it's our protocol at all of our varsity
Okay.
events where
I just
there's a
don't
PA.
know that I've heard it. So, and I've attended a lot of them in the last couple of years. So, might just be something to make sure that. And sometimes it's hard to hear in our gyms too. So somehow that we can make it more pronounced, I think would be great, because it is uncomfortable when you're by someone who is acting really aggressive. And I've thought, like, what am I going to do right now? This is really uncomfortable. So thank you for making sure that that's something that, I know that you're staying on top of. But boy, I think that signage, every time I walk up to the youth sports complex, I see it, and it is a reminder, and I think that might be something to be helpful. Thank you for your time and being
you.
here. It's
Thank
always
you.
great to see you. Okay, staffing, practice, and assumptions. Carrie Mickelson, we're so glad to see you. Thanks for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I first want to start off that this being my first staffing year, I brought Bree with me. She was instrumental in the last month. I'm like, I have to do a presentation on staffing. And she's like, I got you, Carrie. And anytime a number didn't come up or didn't match, I'm like, where did this number come from? And she'd pull out these books and she'd say, oh, this is where I got this information, or this is where I got that. So most of this was done in tangent with Bree. So I thank her for that. All right. First of all, just to talk about kind of what we do for our policy and planning when we talk about what we're going to do for our students. Our objective is to always make sure that our staffing aligns with our student needs and then also our district policies. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at teacher-pupil ratios, making sure that we've got the established what's outlined, and then also what's the best need for our students as well. So we look at each one of the grade levels, and we're going to go through that today. When we're looking at the methodology for how we do our forecasting, our kindergarten is always actual kindergarten, because we don't know until they sign up whether or not we're going to have kindergartners. But everything else is rolled up, and then our secondary staffing, so our our 6 through 12, is based on our actual student course signups. So our principals work together to try to figure out what courses they're going to offer, what the classes are going to look like, and then we figure out from there how many teachers we're going to need. Starting off with our elementary teachers, so again, we look at everything. Our board policy is one teacher for every 25 students. Our goal is to get class sizes that are lower than 22 in our K through 12. On our 4th through 5th grade, we have 1 through 30, but again, we try to get everything under 25 is our number. So when we're looking at that, when we get anything under 22, we look at anything over 20, like let's say it's 20.5. We'll add 4 additional hours of aid for each one of those schools. So we really look at that as week by week as we're getting enrollments to try to make sure that we have that information in place. Our Jackson and Wilson are achievement gap ratio schools, so our teacher pupil ratio for those schools for K through 3 is 1 to 18, so we try to keep those lower. For our secondary schools, we look at 1 to 30 and 1 to 32, that's our board policy, but we really try to keep those again under 25. In 6 and 9, our goal is to support those class sizes for lower than 25 in those transition years as well. For our specialized staffing, And instructional time, so we get DPI criteria for our special education. We won't know what that's going to look like until closer to the school year starts. So we start to look at what we're going to do for those. I'm going to show you some of our numbers over the course of the years. Those numbers don't include our special ed numbers in there. So when you see the fluctuation in those numbers, that's why there's some fluctuation, because the special ed numbers are not in there. Our English learner, those are based on our student needs, and then our elementary, so we set aside 1,440 instructional hours for our art, our music, our PE, for our elementary schools to make sure they're receiving that as well. So we allow built-in administrative flexibility. So for our high school staffing, we factor the attrition rates, we look at the course enrollments from the year prior to that, and we really leave our principals to kind of gather and try to figure out what those numbers are going to look like for us. Then we review as an administration group to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our students. We kind of look at a minimum in those special or those secondary classes to have at least 20 students in each one of them. So when somebody's signing up for a class and it falls less than 20, we look to see kind of, all right, last year we didn't have that many in there. What are we going to do for those future years, and what are we going to make sure that we're looking at? This is our year-over-year staffing. Like I said, this does not include the special ed numbers, so we don't get that in our third Friday total enrollment count. We just have what our total enrollment count is. And then I looked at what our FTE was and did some comparison. This is where Bree and I really kind of looked at the numbers to make sure that, you know, what is the accurate information that we're looking at, and are those third Friday enrollment numbers or what we are looking at to utilize for our spring staffing. And we do look again at those enrollment numbers in January and make sure that they're close to what those enrollments are for the third Friday count as well. Again, this is just the middle school, kind of going through the years as to what the third Friday total enrollment has been, and then kind of how that FTE is fluctuated. You'll see the fluctuation on the elementary going a little bit up in some years and staying pretty the same. And then you'll see that the middle school went up a little bit again. Those numbers are because the special ed teachers that were added, and those are the areas that they were added in. So high school, our numbers fluctuate really based on those class sizes and what the needs are for the students. I also looked this year at our charter schools to look at the enrollment. So Bree and I kind of took a glance of what we did from 22 through 25 so that we understood. And as those numbers have fluctuated over the years, we've decreased some of the FTE in that area as well. So our staffing plan timeline, I'm here right now, kind of going through that with you guys for our November. In January, we'll have the elementary staffing plan that's due. Starting in February, we'll do special education, charter schools, ELL, Title I, P4J, middle and high school. Then in March, we do all the preliminary elementary and then do them all over for director approval. And then in April, we bring that to the Board of Education, to you guys to approve for our staffing for this next year. We look at, retirement. So in February, we ask that our teachers give us all our retirement information by that. So we'll be able to know kind of where we're at with our retirements. We usually look at 10% of teachers leaving. That includes the retirements in that number as well. So we take all those things into consideration when we're looking at our staffing plans as well. So our next policy or our next plan for 26-27, it will maintain our teacher pupil ratios. It will incorporate our financial caution to make sure that we are following our guidelines, and it will provide essential flexibility to our administrators, specifically our principals, so they understand what we need for our schools so we can do the best thing for our students. Any questions?
I have a couple questions. This is great. Did you see that you were front page of the paper?
Not until this morning, and I'm very thankful.
That was surprising. I thought, whoa, my meeting's being talked is on the paper. And I just want to point out that the way the Gazette was worded made it look like we're staffing at 15 students per class, but we're way below what our guideline is, and that is not accurate. It was a complete misinterpretation. I'm sure it makes sense. There might be an average of 15 because there are some, and I don't know if that's even accurate. I don't think so. That was shocking to me because I have students in the district, and I've had them across all levels, and that's a pretty rare number.
Yes.
It happens occasionally, especially in some elementary school
I would say
classrooms.
kindergarten, we'll look at that one.
Right, but like I think our teachers would say, where are those 15? Because there are some classes like band, as an example, you might have 40 kids in a class. Now that's unusual and special circumstances, of course, because of just a different type of class. But I just want to remind everyone, we have TPR, and that is like an upper threshold. So
Yes.
when we have TPR set, that is our district saying, we're not going above that number. We don't actually want to staff at, let's say, 25, because we know that it is better for our students, for academic achievement, for relationship building, and actually behavior management to have lower classroom numbers.
Yes.
And we strive to do that, and we've been really fortunate and have had great success here. So I just want to talk about that because I think that's very confusing for people, and we just want to make sure that we're sharing that part of the story. So, and then I have a question about the AGR program, which you may not know, and that's okay. This is it's funded from a grant, is that correct? And what is the term on that grant? I mean, I can't believe it's just forever. Is it forever?
Well, it's not forever. The federal government provides us with those resources, and it's specifically geared to schools who have a higher poverty rate than the district average. So those are our two elementary buildings who have the highest percentage of free and reduced population. And so the model that we use is 18-1 in K3. So we must have a student-to-teacher ratio that equals or less than 18-1 in those elementary, kindergarten, first, second, and third grade buildings. So we apply on an annual basis. And there's a report that generally comes probably in the consent agenda that you'll see from Kim Perenboom. She oversees that model. And those individual schools have goals, and they have to report on how they're doing on those goals, specifically related to student achievement. And then we apply for that grant annually. I probably have to work with Dan to find out our finance on like how much that is. And we did have some concerns earlier when the federal government was talking about not funding. Those would be the kind of programs. Generally, they fund staffing. So, if I used a general idea, they probably fund at least 1/3 of the staff in kindergarten through third grade at each one of those sites. When you think about how many sections we have, you're probably talking about 15 sections at each school, and probably 1/3 of that is funded by that grant. And that would be a significant burden for the district to jump onto. Now, we would manage it the way we could, but all other buildings would be affected.
Thanks for that. I was just contemplating what that process is, and it's a cross your fingers every year that funding's still available. And at one point there was a time where new schools could be added, but that's passed. So it's not like other schools that we have in the district can apply to be a part of that, correct?
Right, they're gonna identify in general, the two highest, and they have to be, so if we have another building that reaches a level of free and reduced population similar to Wilson and Jackson, it's possible, but I believe the second lowest is at 87%. I think that's Jackson, and Wilson is at over 90. So we have 70s, but not at that level. Yeah.
Did you have any questions? It's okay if you don't. Okay, all right, awesome, wonderful,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, and nice job. Thanks, Bree. Okay, we made it to the end.
Commissioner, oh, that's really loud. I just wanted to say, I wanted to double check my math. You do have to take one comp sci course before you can take AP cybersecurity. The other ones I had prerequisite, but there is a prerequisite for that, and it's any comp sci course. Computer science, sorry. Sorry.
I'm learning a lot
Comp
of
sci.
acronyms
I know,
here,
and
people.
I-
I'm barely keeping up.
Yep, and I'm 30 years in, so they just slip out that way, sorry.
Thank you, I appreciate that update, and it scared me a little bit, so. All right, so announcements and updates, we have our planning session for PPC for our agenda setting next week. So if there's anything that you'd like to see on the agenda, that's always a good time. Before the 10th of November, reach out to me. And then our next PPC meeting is Monday, December 1st, 4:30, right here at the ESC. We look forward to seeing you all then. I don't think there's any other announcements, are there? Nope. Okay, wonderful. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.